Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name is Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today, we're going to be taking a look at Blastoise and Piplup. You see, I've been a little bit down on Blastoise and Piplup. Now, I love it, and I am going to try and make it work. But I'll be honest with you, it's a lack of Aqua Patch that's been worrying me. You see, Blastoise and Piplup has a phenomenal first attack that lets you attach free water energy from your hand to your Pokemon in any way that you like, and then heal 50 damage from for each energy you attached. So if you attach one energy to 3 different Pokemon, you heal 50 from each, but if you attach free energy to one Pokemon, you heal 150 from that. It's really good, but you need to get the first free energy on there. And getting the first free energy on there is the worry. And all the good lists we've seen up to now, they all feature Aqua Patch. Well, great news, ladies and gentlemen. A deck has gone and done a win over in Japan, gone and done very well at least, which does revolve around Blastoise and Piplup, but does not use Aqua Patch. Lovely. What does it use? Well, one of the things it uses is Arceus and Dialga and Palkia. This is the one that for 1 water, 1 metal, 1 colourless energy, you do 150 and search your deck for 3 basic energies and attach them to your Pokemon in any way that you like. So both the Creation Trio and Blastoise and Piplup, both of these tag teams allow you to accelerate free energy, one from your hand, one from your deck, but both of them need free energy on there to get rolling. Now, as a side note, there's also a phenomenal GX attack on Arceus, Dialga, and Palkia. This is the one you're going to use the vast majority of the time. For the rest of the game, for 1 metal energy, all your Pokemon do an extra 30 damage. But if you've got a water and a metal, for the rest of the game, all your Pokemon do 30 more damage. And you get to take 1 more prize every time you take a KO. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a little bit ridiculous. And there's only one other Pokemon, and it is Mismagius. And this basically helps to explain how we end up with a viable deck given the lack of energy acceleration. So Mismagius here has an ability whereby you can knock it out, and it is a proper knockout. You give your opponent a prize and all of that, and then you draw until you've got 7 cards in your hand. Cool. And this does 2 things. Now, firstly, it just draws cards. Drawing cards is good. Secondly, it puts you behind on prizes. And that is where Counter Gain comes in. Counter Gain says that if you're behind on prizes, you reduce the attack cost of all the Pokemon to which it is attached by 1 colourless energy. And this is pretty huge, because this is how we make sure that we can pay this a little bit better. Both Arceus, Dialga, and Palkia, and Blastoise and Piplup have attacks which have 1 colourless energy in the cost, which means that with Counter Gain you're talking 2 energy attacks. Now, we are still talking 2 energy here, and we still don't have any other energy acceleration, but what we do have here is enough time. And it really is as simple as that. You will be able to get 2 energy on there with the Counter Gain. You attach 1 when you're ready to go. You Mismagius for an energy and a Counter Gain, which you're more likely to draw because of Mismagius, and then you're up and rolling. And as soon as you get 1 attack off with either of these Pokemon, you are fine and ready to go. You just need 1 attack with either of them, and as soon as you start attacking, you're accelerating free energy. As soon as you get going, you keep going, and it really is just Mismagius and Counter Gain. Which seems like an overly simple solution, but evidently it works. I'd love it if we had Aqua Patch, but we don't have Aqua Patch. So here's a deck that manages to do well, even though they don't have it either. Now, in terms of Pokemon, that really is it. You got your 2 tag teams, you got Mismagius, that's all you get. In terms of energy, we've got a mixture of water and metal because, well, it is a water/metal deck. Now, there's only actually 3 metal energy compared to 7 water energy, so what we're basically saying here is, yeah, you're going to be largely attacking with Blastoise and Piplup, because that's the one that attaches water energy from your hand, so it's kind of important that you have that when you need it. Cool. Now, in terms of trainer cards, obviously quite a lot of them here. Starting off with supporter cards, we see Green's Exploration. This is your main supporter card here, and that probably shouldn't surprise you. If you've got no Pokemon in play with abilities, you get to search your deck for any 2 trainer cards and put them into your hand. Well, you do play a bunch of abilities here, but all of them are Mismagius, who you then KO. So it doesn't really matter, if I'm honest with you. You're good. It goes away, you can use Green's Exploration. The other thing I should mention here is that you're only playing tag teams and Mismagius. So if you KO 2 Mismagius to use the ability twice, you still force your opponent to KO 2 tag teams in order to win the game, and those 2 prizes given up are essentially irrelevant. How cool is that? The answer is very. Now, in terms of other supporters here, we do see Ace Roller and Guzma. Yeah, Japan still has them, but we don't. Most decks played them. Every deck pretty much got over it. Will be okay. But we do see 2 copies of Cynthia and Caitlyn. And Cynthia and Caitlyn really is becoming a staple in almost every deck over in Japan. You pop yourself a supporter card from the discard pile into your hand, and then if you discard a card from your hand, you get to draw 3 cards. It's phenomenal. Expect to see a huge amount of it. Now, one of the reasons we're cool playing this is because we're actually playing Tag Cool here. And what's great about Tag Cool is it lets you search for 2 tag team cards and put them into your hand. But it doesn't matter which tag team cards they are, whether they are Pokemon or whether they are tag team supporters. So yeah, go nuts. It's nice to be able to play Cynthia and Caitlyn, grab it with a tag call while you're getting your Pokemon. We also see Bill's analysis here that lets you dig for your trainer cards, which can be quite big, especially when you're desperately looking for that counter game. Obviously, you'd rather have Green's Exploration, but you won't always have it. And we do see a copy of Misty's here. Yeah, the new Misty's Favor card. It's kind of cool. It just lets you search for 3 supporters and put them into your hand. And this is how you know you've got the right supporters for the next few turns. Personally, I'd be playing a Lieutenant Surge's strategy in any deck with this, so I could essentially play 2 supporters next turn. That is something to consider. Now, in terms of stadiums, we just play Power Plants, and this is a fairly standard thing. I'm not using abilities, so I'm going to turn off my opponents. It's kind of spiteful, but it kind of works. Now, in terms of your item cards here, there's a lot that we would usually expect, the usual suspects, so to speak. But there are a few I want to bring attention to. We have Tag Switch here. Lets you move 2 energy from one of your tag team Pokemon to another Pokemon. This is really good for moving energy between your tag teams, especially if your opponent is on the verge of getting a KO. Remember, they both accelerate energy, so as long as you can keep some energy on the board, you'll be fine, and this helps you to do that. Duskstone is pretty gosh darned important when it comes to Mismagius, just for allowing you to evolve up in a single turn. That's pretty huge. Pokegear is here to make sure that you can always have your support. Well, not always, I suppose, but a lot of the time, it will make sure that you've got the right supporter for that particular moment, and that's pretty gosh darned good. And then we've got that new Great Catcher card, which, I mean, look, it lets you gust your opponent's EX or GX off of their bench. It's going to see a huge amount of play. It's going to find its way into pretty much every deck. So it really is one of those where just get on board with it, I suppose. Learn to love it. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. A very nice card indeed. And one that actually gets around the whole Aqua Patch problem. Maybe there is hope for my Blastoise and Piplup yet. I would be absolutely delighted if there was. But at this stage, I'd like to know what you think about this deck. Are you buying it? Do you think it's good? Do you think it's viable? Or do you think it's still not going to work? Let me know in the comment section. Go nuts. Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWassy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. And please do make sure you're checking out youtube.com/WassyPlays, where we talk about a whole bunch of games that don't even have any Pokemon in. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.